Introducing National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk programming that you can access 24/7. For the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring SONJA Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk for America.
National Streaming Sports is brought to you in part by BetUs.com, designed for true fans. NFL odds, Week 1 and futures. College football odds, including Heisman Trophy favorites and playoff odds. NBA odds of division winners and playoffs. Major League Baseball playoff and World Series odds. The National Hockey League Conference playoffs and Stanley Cup odds. And boxing wagers. Betting opportunities include versus the spreads and outright winners. Also, during the game. Use our link on our website, nessp.info, the Bet Us Opportunities webpage, for a 125% bonus on your first 3 deposits. Must be 21 years old, and remember, bet responsibly.
Football season is here, and SeatGeek is my go-to for buying tickets. Now, with SeatGeek, every single ticket is backed with their buyer guarantee. We've all had plans change, and when you can't make it to the big game, SeatGeek has you covered. They're the only ticketer that allows you to return your tickets ahead of the event for credit with SeatGeek swaps. So when things come up, I know that my tickets won't go to waste. So what are you waiting for? Download the SeatGeek app to maximize your possibilities and shop live events with confidence.
Good morning and welcome to the Big Football Show again. I guess for intents purposes today is the Sunday morning Big Sports Show, but it's Big Football Show. I'm sitting in for Mac and Linda, the great production team over at National Streaming Sports. Mac, continue to rest up. We'll see you soon. Good morning, Jack, Bistrilla, Keith, and J-Train. How are you guys today?
Good morning.
Good. All right, so the long-awaited wedding is over, and all of these teams have now married their brides. We'll see if these marriages work out, or should we say engagements work out to end up in long-time marriages. These engagements that work out, these long-awaited engagements that we've seen. You guys download the Roku app, National Streaming Sports, over 12,000 likes, 3.4-star rating. We're live 24/7 sports. And right after this, Keith Engel jumps on 8:30 a.m. Stream of Consciousness. Check him out. All right. What are your thoughts about the draft?
You know what? Just an overall observation. We knew this wasn't a really, deep, talented draft. There's a lot of good players. Only a couple of really superstar, at least as we look at it beforehand. But we said, and at least I said, it would be intriguing, and it was nothing if it wasn't intriguing for 3 days in my mind. The Shedeur stuff, where Dylan Gabriel gets picked. I mean, I can go on and on. There were tons of surprises for me in this draft. So it was a fun 3 days for me.
Yeah, I like some of the trades that were done. I like Atlanta's trade back in was surprising, although we'll have to face them. I was really surprised with that pick. I think it might have been a little rich, but to secure 2 bookends, I think that's something that they needed. They went after it and they got it. Also, who was it? Obviously, I mean, the elephant in the room was Shedeur Sanders' slide, but a lot of value picks I saw. A lot of value picks. I think, like with the Saints, the Evan Neal running back way in the sixth. That was interesting to grab. To be able to find him. I'm surprised he slipped, but that's just how deep the running back room was. Man, yeah.
It's all about fits. I mean, you saw on the last day a number of the quarterbacks taking the name quarterbacks. We knew we were going to go a little late in the rounds, but you take someone like a Quinn Ewers, who wound up at the perfect spot at number 7 because there's a good chance he's going to be the Dolphin primary backup. He has to beat out Zach Wilson, and that's a very beatable guy to beat out. And then he played behind Tua, and Tua's injury prone. So Quinn Ewers, when all is said and done, might be the Dolphin future starting quarterback because Tua's one injury away from maybe being forced to retire. And then you look, we're going to get to Shedeur Sanders. He's in a crowded quarterback room in comparison. It's all the fit, like where you wind up.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, we came on, we've been talking draft. Literally, we gave everyday coverage on this subject. We debated it yesterday, Jack, myself, and J Train, heavily about Shedeur not being taken as of that time. Bistrilla and myself and J Train and Jack even made an appearance with us on Thursday night for the first round. We also covered the second round, and then here we are post. I don't know, y'all. I think my body now is feeling the deflation of all of it because the adrenaline was so high with this draft. This was a draft that was kind of meh, not heavily talented, to be honest with you. But I think the Shedeur Sanders story kind of really stirred the pot on a lot of things, a lot of people, and a lot of involvement overall. And then when you did see quarterbacks like, Dylan go before him, and even, non-quarterback roles such as Mike Green, who have their own situations with the legal system right now and being drafted. I mean, Cleveland now has 5 quarterbacks. They've taken 2 of their quarterbacks in one round. I mean, I know it's debatable, but in my opinion, I'm just like, Cleveland, why now? And why would you go back and, in my opinion, just say, okay, you know what? Let's go ahead and grab Shedeur now. It's not a secret. Dion has not necessarily supported that team 100% for any of his players going there. In fact, he was quoted as saying, if I'm a quarterback and I'm drafted to that team, I might just pull a Manning. Guys, I mean, now here it is. His son is a quarterback.
You can only pull a Manning when you're going to be one of the top players in the draft. You can't pull a Manning when you're a 5th round draft pick or even a 2nd round draft pick. This whole, and I'm Shedeur out, but this was just a confluence of things. In that pick itself, he's the best player available there, and I think it's a smart move by the Browns. They've got lots of flexibility. People are going to be looking for quarterbacks. They always are. They're going to make some moves with quarterbacks before the season as we get into the summer. As far as Shedeur goes, I think it's a combination of things. He's not a 1st round talent, never was. 2nd round might even have been a reach for him. Doesn't mean he can't play in this league, and he may. The only thing he really cost himself was money up front. He's in the league now. If he plays well, he will play. If he, develops as a player, he'll play. I also think there was a message being sent, not just to the Sanders of the world, but to some of these entitled college players now who are getting all this NIL money, being treated like professional players on the college level. And I think the NFL, in a way, was sending a message to all of them yesterday that doesn't mean a thing come draft day. All in all, Shedeur if Shedeur can play, he'll be fine. He'll play in this league. There was a couple. I know, Sonja, you posted something, an article you found somewhere, and that guy was really kind of off his rocker. And in a way, if Shedeur didn't get drafted, they were not going to go to the UFL and challenge the NFL for supremacy. It was never going to happen.
No. Shedeur, what I'm saying, if he wasn't going to get drafted, he wasn't going to get picked up by a team. He was going to play football somewhere. It was going to be big ratings. He would be the big fish in the USFL. All this publicity and
for a week, for 2 weeks, for 2 weeks.
No, he would do it perhaps one season if need be. But you're wrong about Shedeur's talent. He is a 1st round talent.
I'm not buying it.
reportedly he interviewed very badly, wasn't really prepared.
This is
Okay, and I kind of believe that.
This is my other thing, and I posted in our chat yesterday, is I'm sick and tired of these NFL executives. Now to flip it around a little bit and defend Shador a little bit, I'm sick and tired of anonymous executives and coaches speaking up. Put your name to your words or shut up. It's just ridiculous when these guys can go and listen. I'm not going to sit here and defend Shador, but you can assassinate somebody's character. We're not even talking about his play on the field, which is one thing, but there's assassinating his character. And maybe with reason. I'm not saying they don't have a reason, but put your name to it. We go on here and listen, we don't have a lot to lose. We don't have $1 million contracts to put at risk, but put your face and your name to your comments, or just don't say anything. Just no comment. You know.
Good morning, Rick. Good morning, Rick. Again, so supportive of the show.
We were talking a little before the show, and Sonia, you were bringing up a point about why you thought Cleveland drafted Shador. But have you ever seen a coach and GM as unhappy about their pick as the Cleveland was? I mean, you get the feeling that the owner, got involved finally and said, guys, this is the 5th round. I want you to pick this guy. Cut him if you want, but pick him.
Yeah.
The war room. I'm sorry. Go ahead. The war room looked like glum.
Yeah.
Like they were forced to clap.
Yep. That's why I'm saying, to me, it felt like a sympathy pick, because why, when you have you have a quarter amount of quarterbacks that you do of your roster, like that's of your starting roster. That is, well, at least on the O line or the D line. You guys get what I'm saying. But anyway, why would you do that? I mean, B. Strilla, Kevin Stefanski came out and was basically like, so glum. Like, it was not the excitement we saw. I was just like, oh, wow. Like, it literally felt like there was some type of involvement, even though we're saying it's not. Like James J. Train pointed out yesterday, we're not there for the interviews. We're only reading and going off what we see that is reported.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, B. Strilla?
I just think that I'm glad that this whole Shador Sanders thing is put to bed. I'm just tired of this whole thing going on. I mean, if that tells you how bad, not bad, but how bad the draft is when you have some person's focal eye. That's what's keeping everybody watching the draft, basically. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I was relieved that he got to go to a team finally. Somebody picked him up. And do we really want to say that even Deion had to humble himself? Maybe he talked to the GM of Cleveland and say, hey, take my kid. You know what I'm saying? I mean, let bygones be. And you see what happened with Shador when he got there. He was excited. He was dancing with his brother. And he made all the right word choices when he was talking about being on Cleveland. So, I mean, this has gone from escalating this high to
yeah.
But Strilla, the saga's not over with Shador. It's just starting. HBO's going to come calling with Hard Knocks, and they're going to want to focus on Shador. And that's going to be a distraction for the Browns. I suspect they're going to turn it down. But now the Browns have 5 quarterbacks. They have to lose one. Let's say you put 3 on your active roster and you put 1 on your practice squad. A quarterback could get claimed off the practice squad by any team and you lose them. They're not going to put Joe Flacco on the practice squad. Maybe Deshaun Watson when he comes back. That would be the ultimate humiliation for Watson, hoping someone
good for him.
And no one would claim him. Are they going to lose Kenny Pickett?
Kenny Pickett will be the odd man out here.
Deshaun Watson is, from what I heard yesterday, Deshaun Watson is not going to count against their roster because of the injury.
Yeah.
So you can't really count him right now.
Okay, so that means let's say they lose Deshaun Watson, the other 4 left. They're not going to put Joe Flacco in the practice squad. So between Gabriel, Sanders, and Kenny Pickett, one of them is going to have to be on the practice squad, and one of them will probably get claimed by another team. So they're going to have to make a decision which of those 3 they're going to lose during this season.
It's not hard.
They're keeping all 3 for the season.
It's Kenny Pickett. It's not even a choice. You just drafted these 2 guys. They're not going to put them on the practice squad. Shador's not going on the practice squad. And I don't think you're putting Gabriel there when you took him over a bunch of other guys that myself and everybody else had ranked higher than Gabriel.
Well, what happens if Kenny Pickett looks
It's
better
Cleveland.
in training camp?
Yeah, it is Cleveland.
Right. Let's
Well, let me
get
say
Jake
this.
Swain's perspective on this.
Look, I'm gonna keep this brief. Pete, I agree with you in regards to the NIL. I thought about it. I pondered a lot. The NFL, first of all, the draft was mid, like Brees Triller said, and so the NFL finds ways. I mean, you think these people are not strategic into figuring out how to make sure we keep the media, keep everything relevant, even when things are bad. You figure out ways to. I'm not saying that this was like picked by any means to have him go to Cleveland or anything like that, but they find opportunities when the opportunity happens. Like Jack said, this is going to go all the way through the summer and everything else. We're going to talk about Hard Knocks. We're going to talk about everything. Shador is not going to die down. This is banter, and this is media. This is at its finest. But I do disagree. I agree with Jack that Shador is a first round talent, and he probably should have fell no later than the second. But it happened. His fifth round. I like what his teammate said, a veteran that came out and sent a text in Denzel Ward. He said, "You're here now. Now come in and be legendary." So virtually, he's just echoing what everyone else said here. You have an opportunity. Go ahead and play and find your way to the top. And if it's, Cream eventually rises to the top. If he's good enough to beat out these players, he'll get there.
Yeah, he used his words. I mean, that's what Shador's always saying, be legendary. And I agree, Rick. Rick says this is unfortunately not going to die down and be put to bed. This is going to be something that deals with the camp and the coach going forward. I mean, Stefanski came out and said, hey, we have plays that we're going to set up to see the talent of all the quarterbacks we have here to see who fits the best. And then they're going to have them play here, so everybody gets the equal opportunity to demonstrate their worth of being a Brown.
It's not a bad situation for Shador to be in. I mean, he's got a chance to win a starting job. There's no solid starter there. And to echo what James and some of you said, getting in the league is all that really matters. All he really lost yesterday was a lot of millions of dollars, but you got a chance to make that up if you play.
$45 to $4 million is a huge cut. 45 first round to $4 million.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's not a lot of money, but if you play and become a star in this league, as James and Jack think he will be, obviously, if he's a first round talent, then he'll make his money over the course of his career. It's just so again, just getting in the league, he's going to get a chance. If he can't play, he can't play. If he can, he'll be fine.
But there's two storylines. One of them is just hypothetical at this point. Could you imagine Cleveland didn't make that deal and they drafted Travis Hunter? They'd have him and Shador, the
that'd be funny.
Colorado connection together.
They probably should have.
Too, if the Cleveland's owner, Jimmy Haslett, if he forced Shador on the coaching staff, do you really think they're going to want Shador to win the starting job? You know, if Shador was forced on them.
If he's the best quarterback and he doesn't play, then they should be fired. It's that simple.
One thing for
the Browns.
Jimmy Horn, what is it? Shador's other receiver, Colorado, is a Carolina Panther now. So congratulations. The Shador effect trickles down to Carolina.
Listen, it's just, because I won't be that much longer, I want to make sure I give props to SONJA because her team had a good draft yesterday, I thought. So did the Saints. I think the Saints and the Panthers had the best draft of that division. So I want to make sure I give some props there. I like what Carolina did yesterday and the Saints.
Thank you, Keith. We put a lot into our offense. In fact, it came out in March that we had spent, I think, $93 or $97 million in our offense during the offseason, one of the highest spending amounts, considering our defense was ranked subpar. I guess we're just willing to make some trades around the clock, basically, to try to build up on the defense during the free agency time because we put a lot into the offense, a lot of building around Cam, Cam, Lord have mercy, Bryce. They were trying to make sure he got to the level that Cam got was what I was trying to get to. We saw him finally mature, and now that they're going with him as their solid starter and seeing his maturation, Now they were willing to put that money in and build around him. So this is really going to be a make or break season for the Panthers now that they've invested this money in Bryce. It's going to be a make or break season for Bryce himself because he cannot afford to go backwards at this point. When you've put in that type of talent in the draft and you've put in during the offseason the money that's already been put up to build around him and assess the strengths of Xavier Legette and Jonathan Brooks, who they got previously, and now to bring in these other gentlemen. It's so odd you say that, though, because there were a lot of A's. You know, the draft grades came out, and like Bistrilla said before we came on, depends on who's grading, but they gave the Panthers a B minus. I mean, we got T-Mac, of course. Makai, yeah.
Kuiper's already bitter because of Shedeur. I was worried for his health. The longer Shedeur didn't get drafted, I thought he was going to stroke out right on the set for crying out loud yesterday.
Kuiper had Donald Trump support. Trump called the owners idiots when they didn't draft Shedeur in the first round.
Right.
Yeah, but we had a draft in every round. We traded up to get one. So the big names was the first 3 rounds, of course. T-Mac, Nick Scorton, that everybody wanted. Prince Umamilian, of course, and we got like a bunch of we actually spread out kind of across the board. No 2 players were from the same team. So as I say, the verdict's out.
You know, the grades are dependent on who's giving, as Bistrella said. I mean, Kuiper's going to do it based on his own agenda, right? And everybody's going to do the same thing. And I think, all in all, though, I think there were lots of winners yesterday. Only a handful I would call really losers. I thought the Steelers were losers. The Falcons, I don't think had a great draft myself. I know James liked them. I don't think they did.
Will Howard there? I mean, the Steelers are
well, that's a good pick at 7, yeah, but you know, the rest of the draft I didn't like.
It looks like they're signing Aaron Rodgers at this point. They're talking very confidently.
You would think.
Yeah,
I'm interested in Bistrella's Lions. I didn't think they had a great day myself, and I'm interested in his opinion there too before I'm gone, because that's the only one I haven't commented on. Well, the Jets I think did okay.
Well, they get a Falcons a B minus also, ironically, now that I'm looking at it.
But nobody ever gives the Lions good draft grades because they don't understand Brad Holmes. That's the point. He's one of the best drafting the GMs in the league right now. I mean, he's taken a whole bunch of these round picks and made them stars. So I mean,
you guys got to see
that part.
Some of the things. Hey, some of us as fans don't understand certain things, but you know, we have this saying here: "Let Holmes cook, let him do his thing," because it eventually comes out to prosper. So I mean, the only thing I think about Brad Holmes that he has a problem with. And it's kind of funny considering that he used to be a defensive line guy himself. But I guess if you can play, you can't draft him. But he's not very good at drafting defensive linemen. I mean, Aiden Hutchinson was a drop in your lap. But other than that, he has no other lineman that he's ever drafted that are panned out to be number 1 stars. So, and that's why he does a lot of free agency on that line.
One pick I did like was a kid from Ohio State, the defensive tackle, their first pick. I do like
Tyreek Williams.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, with Brad Holmes, you got to wait and see about the draft picks because, you know, he's really, like I said, he's really in depth with other people that they grab. That defensive tackle was like one of the like the 4th or 5th person on their board because they did want an edge rusher. I think they wanted Pierce. And I think they wanted Pierce. And if they couldn't get Pierce, they wanted Harmon. They couldn't get Harmon. It kind of went down a road from that point. So they got, you know, that's basically what he said in his presser after the draft. He said, well, you know, not to put the defensive tackle that we got down, but, you know, you're always striving to get some. He didn't want to risk too much to get everything. You know, he's got this mortgage and this college fund thing going on with him. So it's, you know.
Well, they may be hoping Harmon wouldn't go to the Steelers would take a quarterback and maybe he'd fall a little more. And then maybe they'd make a gentle deal to move up a few spots only.
Let's mention Harmon for a quick second, guys. We want to offer our thoughts and condolences to him. Harmon was drafted, for those of you all who don't know, by the Pittsburgh Steelers, and his mother was on life support, literally, when he was drafted. He went to the hospital, advised her while she was on life support that he had been drafted, and she passed away shortly thereafter. definitely condolences. He's only 21. His mother looked very young as well. So we're definitely sending our condolences to him on that. Such a touching moment, but to know that, clearly she was advised and, she knew that her son was going to be okay. So
Yeah.
definitely mention that.
Yeah.
And I agree that it's a sad story. And I know they had a story on it, draft, the first night of the draft. And it was a sad story.
There was a storyline that went on with the Baltimore Ravens drafting a kicker. Now, the Justin Tucker situation is very ugly, and you're innocent until proven otherwise. But it doesn't look good for Justin Tucker.
He's not going to be on that team.
The Deshaun Watson situation.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up,
At some
Chad.
point, it's going to have to get resolved. If the league doesn't step in, are they going to allow there to be a competition in camp with kicking? It seems like the Ravens just want to move on from Justin Tucker, but because he's a future Hall of Fame and all probability and a Raven icon, it's not that easy to just be dismissive and cut him, because that's basically telling people, well, he's guilty, we got to move on. But it's a tough situation.
I don't think he'll be a Raven come summer.
Yeah, good morning, Brent. I agree. He said he was happy with the Lions got a B. Yeah, it looks like they are going to be moving on from Justin Tucker. I was going to mention that, Jack. Thanks for pointing that out. When you start to see players that have any type of issue, performance, or in this case, legally, personal, when you start to see drafts or trades to move around that position, one can only draw the conclusion that that position for that person will be eliminated in the subsequent season. Keith, any final thing before you hop off of here?
Yeah, before I go, I'd like to address my team's draft real quick.
I was going to ask you. Thank you.
I thought they did I think they did an excellent job yesterday. I really did, especially they checked every box that they really needed to have help in. I was a little surprised. I like Travion Williams, but I like I'm trying to think of the kid's name now from Central Florida. I actually would have preferred him, but either one of them, they're the same player almost.
RJ Harvey.
RJ Harvey, yeah. I think they did very well. They addressed the line that they needed with Campbell, and they got the best center in the draft in the third round.
Wilson.
I think that was a great pick. I told James last night, I like the versatility of Swinson, who they got in the fifth round from LSU. He can move around the everywhere in the front seven, almost, it seems. I like what he can do there. What I was a little surprised at, I think Bill Belichick snuck into the draft room in round 7 because they kept moving around, trading for the last pick.
That's why I saw that. They got a lot of picks in the 7th round.
They did end up with 3 picks in the 7th round, including Mr. Irrelevant, Kobe Minor from Memphis. Some interesting that they draft a long snapper in the 7th round, which is they usually are undrafted free agents more often than not. So they did some odd things at the end of the draft, but overall, I really like what they did. They had a lot of picks. They kept moving around and acquiring more picks, and that's kind of the organizational's MO. But overall, I like it. Again, we don't know. I like Kyle Williams from Washington State. I think he was underrated in this wide receiver class. But again, we don't know until they get on the field.
I mean, you guys got a B- that first day of grading. They gave you a B-. Day 2, A+, and day 3 a B, which overall you guys got a B+ ranking. That's pretty solid. And you guys had a lot of positions, a lot of, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
A lot of holes to fill.
12. You guys had 12 drafts that you got, so that's pretty good.
They got 2 weapons for their hopefully our franchise quarterback. Drake May continues to progress. Getting him weapons is important, and keeping him upright is important. And I think they addressed all of that. Plus, they got more versatile on defense, which, like Bill Belichick, Vrabel likes that type of versatility on defense. So I look at. Do I think we're going to the playoffs next year? Probably not.
There's a tiny red flag with Vrabel with quarterbacks. Will Levis didn't develop. He got rid of Malik Willis, and then Malik Willis did well at Green Bay. And there's this tiny red flag. If Drake May is so in the beginning, how much patience is Grable going to have with him? Is he going to develop on the
Lots.
Grable?
Joshua Dobbs is the backup. There'll be lots of patience with Drake May.
Yeah.
I think with that whole thing, Jack Doe is what he had around him too. Malik probably did better in Green Bay because he had more around him than he did in Tennessee. And then on top of that, and then Mayo.
I'm gonna go. But see you guys later. Great point.
Great show. Thank you, Keith Engel, everybody.
Man.
All right, Keith Engel, everybody. Go ahead, Strilla, what you were saying.
Yeah, so I mean, Mayo, he didn't have anything around him. I still don't like the Cam Ward pick, but I think Cam Ward could have went somewhere else and been more prosperous because he's not going to really have anything in Tennessee right now, and they got a new head coach, so you don't know what's going to go on with that.
In Tennessee, they don't have to win now. The fan base understands. Their whole season comes down in large part to Cam Ward's development, so it's not a bad spot.
Yeah, Jack, that's not true. For everybody needs to win now. That's the NFL. They got to win now.
But they did load up on the draft for him. I mean, he's got some players around him. I think they're going to be all right. Obviously, with the expectations, I agree with Jack. The expectations for them is not to win right now. I mean, you got to build it in the trenches, and you have to build on the ends with receivers for him. I mean, you saw how he plays, so you need to build around. And let's look at his draft. I mean, what does he have? What they put around it? From what I understand, I read an article on him that he already was texting the guys in the draft and motivating. They said the leadership skills are just off the charts for the kid. And so he's already talking to them like, look, we're going to go in and take care of business here. But I mean, again, who did they get? They got an edge. They got Shamir DK out of Florida, wide receiver. They got Gunnar Helm, the tight end out of Texas. They got another wide receiver out of Stanford. That guy is underrated. And they got a value pick with him. That's Alec Manyor. Excuse me, I'm jacking that guy's name up. And they got a running back out of Michigan. And of course the things they have right now. So they're trying to build around him, Strilla. I think it is going to be a little difficult. I mean, it's Tennessee right now. We don't know.
I mean, the attempt to build around him. The attempt to build around him is fine. It's got a good projection. But again, all these are draft picks. Nobody knows what's going to happen with these draft picks in the first place. I mean, I think their best draft pick, to tell you the truth on all this, was the offensive guard Jackson Slater. I think he's very underrated from Sacramento State. So, I mean, if I'm going way down there to get a draft pick, besides Cam Ward, obviously, but everybody else, we'll see. I mean, everything's a wait and you see. Everybody got to play the game, so
And let's say it was flip-flopped and Shedeur Sanders interviewed so wonderfully and Cam Ward didn't. Bottom line, it's what you're producing on the field and what you've done in college. That's why I'm never the biggest fan of the combines. It's okay in the later rounds, to influence your selection, but you have all this game film. You have coaches, teammates, you hear things that way, but these players are given these psychological tests. It's rushed on them. What would you do in this situation, that situation? I mean, they have a body of work already in college and base it off that. So Cam Ward's got great leadership skills because he reaches out to players. You like him. I mean, he's not selling vacuum cleaners, going door to door where he has to show this great personality. Mm-hmm. What's funny? So we kept talking about Shedeur, but his brother, like Sonja pointed out, signed as a free agent by Tampa Bay. So if the Sanders were that disliked and there was that much baggage, Tampa Bay didn't have to, sign Shiloh, give him an opportunity, invite him to camp. Because that could
be a free agent, but you're right.
Yeah, and there were number of surprises, but I guess we're right. Shedeur dominated the draft. That's all anyone talked about. I'm watching the news on CNN. And that's part of the news that Shador hasn't gotten drafted yet. Part of the news on CNN. They're talking about world affairs, and then they slip that in there. I mean,
Yeah, they're basically saying now, since basically everybody circled the wagons and rallied behind or put some type of input, that he better absolutely ball out now. Because if he doesn't, and all this hoopla was around him, then it's going to go back to, okay, he wasn't that talented after all.
I gotta believe it's how he interviewed. That would be my thing. I mean, reportedly met Brian DeBall, and DeBall was not happy. Like Shador basically said, "Chill out. I'm not ready to be interviewed to talk about offensive formations. Let's just meet and chill out and talk." I'm not saying that's what was said, but reportedly DeBall, eliminated Shador pretty quickly based on an interview. And then there's some talk with Kellen Moore that maybe he didn't want to relate to Shador, personality wise. I mean, you like people you can relate to. And maybe there was a feeling with Shador, it was hard to relate to him, but he has no criminal background. He's not a bad kid by any accounts.
Right. I mean, I will say what really got me, and I put a couple of these videos in our chat yesterday. These videos came out during the draft between rounds 1 and 2 while Shador was still waiting. If you know that you didn't go round 1, you shouldn't be allowing people to film you and put you on social media to get your response to not being drafted. Like if your response to being drafted is like, okay, we're okay. You don't go on there and be like, you know what, this is what we expected. This is how they do us. Because that stuff leaks out and you never know who may have been in round 2 that may have been willing to take him, but then they see this come out and it's Shador there. His dad's in the background. He's talking to Shiloh. We got our t-shirt coming out soon. Respect us or something like that coming out by Nike. I mean, he's basically saying, shoot on you because y'all are haters. And despite that, Pittsburgh was expected to take them if the Saints did not take him at number 9. Pittsburgh still, according to this draft, got an A on every single day. I guess this person may have been biased. It feels like they were a Pittsburgh fan the way how do you get an A every single draft day? Of course, they got Harmon. That pulls at your heartstrings, but he is a really good defensive tackle. He went at that number 21 position that everybody thought Shador was going to go at. And that's why that position has gotten a type of highlight that it's gotten as well, because that was the number that everybody was like, okay, this is where Shador is going to go. Then they got Johnson. Jack Sawyer was another good pick that was in there. Then so on and so on in the next couple of rounds. But what are your guys' thoughts about that? I mean, now Pittsburgh still has this A, even though people are saying they're not sure, with the exception of Harmon and Jack Sawyer, that it's going to be, a great turnout for them. What are you guys' thoughts?
Well, I'm going to say this. Pittsburgh drafted Will Howard in the 4th round, the Ohio State quarterback. And the owner made it a point to say he's a developmental quarterback. He's a project. That's sending a message to Aaron Rodgers. This guy isn't going to be playing for us. He's going to develop very slowly. If he's good, fine. If he's not good, that's okay. You're our guy, Aaron. They sent that message. When they use the word developmental, it means he's not playing. And I think all the teams are doing something like that, because if you draft a quarterback, usually in the first 3 rounds, for the most part, you're sending a message. Let's say the Lions, for example, they have their franchise quarterback in Goff. Let's say Shador Sanders is drafted in the 2nd round. You don't think it's going to be on their starter's mind that he might be on the clock all of a sudden? It even happened with the great Aaron Rodgers coming off back-to-back MVP seasons. The Packers move up in the draft to get Jordan Love in the 1st round. That put Aaron Rodgers on the clock immediately. It's telling you your days are numbered. I mean, I think these teams are thinking about the feelings of their quarterback for the time being. They're like treading lightly. They want to get a future quarterback, but at the same time, they don't want to insult, whoever. But what baffled me, guys, and Bestrell, I want to hear what you have to say with James, Sonja. The Rams, I would think they would have wanted to address their quarterback situation because Matthew Stafford, we don't know. He could be there a few more years. This could be his last year.
Well,
I mean,
go ahead.
I mean, it's and at the end of the day, and people got to realize this: players' emotions got to be taken out of it because it's a business. Sooner or later, your veteran quarterback's not gonna be good anymore. It just happens. Age catches up to us. I mean, as far as the fact that if the Lions would have gotten him, I don't know. I don't think I would have been upset, but I probably wouldn't like to pick either because I mean we got quarterbacks in line behind him. It all goes toward, what do you have behind the quarterback that you have now? So, you're just kind of ruining Hendon Hooker's chance to be there, although he's probably about that age too. But as far as the Rams are concerned, they got quarterbacks behind them too. I didn't look at what they got too much in the draft.
Well, they traded out round 1, so that lets me know they're probably to pick up 2026. They may go after a quarterback in 2026, Bistrello.
Maybe, yeah. Which is probably, let's see what they got here. Okay. They got a tight end. They got an edge. Like the edge pick because he's Michigan. I'm just being biased. Let's see. He didn't do really too much. I mean, you got to remember, they got a lot of offensive weapons on there right now. Their defense is pretty solid. They got a bunch of young people on defense. I think the only thing that they had to shore up was their defensive backfield because I don't think they have a really good secondary. But, I mean, they do still have Stenson. I can't even defend. You know what, Jack? I can't even defend the Rams right now. I can't.
Well, this is. We got to know what Sean McVay's MO is. He's always traded or went into free agency. He's not a type of guy that said, I'm going to draft a quarterback. He came into the situation when Jared Goff was there. Jared Goff, he's like, okay, I could do what I can do with him. But then, of course, he eventually traded for Matthew Stafford. And so I think he just looked at what was in the draft this year, didn't see anything he liked. And he's going to wait till next year, like Sonja alluded to. And I think he's just going to see what's there. But Matthew Stafford maybe has, 2-3 years tops. They gave him a contract for, 2 years, I believe? An additional 2 years?
Yep.
So, I mean, they'll probably look into next year's draft. Supposedly there's a crop of quarterbacks. We'll see what it is. There's always a crop of quarterbacks. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but like I said earlier, it depends the situation. Like Kyle McCord was drafted, the quarterback from Syracuse, in the 6th round by the Eagles. He's never seen the field with Jalen Hurts there. Jalen Hurts is the franchise quarterback. He's going to continue on for years there unless they get someone of high caliber, some way, somehow falls into their lap, because they did replace, Carson Wentz with Hurts, but Hurts only became the starter because Wentz's performance really started to slip with Philadelphia. So as long as Jalen Hurts is Jalen Hurts, he's going to go on for years. So Kyle McCord's never seen the field as an Eagle in reality. But like I said earlier in the show, Quinn Ewers was picked the next round, is in an ideal spot at Miami because with Tua, who knows how long Tua is going to last. So it all depends on what Riley Leonard. Did he go to Indianapolis?
Yeah.
Okay. And
he's
with Daniel Jones, Anthony Richardson. It's iffy there. Maybe he sees the field with those two guys. Who knows what's going to happen with Indianapolis?
Also with Shedeur too, I think it's more of a fit offensively because I mean Steve, that's not a McVay pick though. Really, he likes gunslingers. He's not a running quarterback guy. He's never been a running quarterback guy. So you bring up the Rams about that, but it's all really where Shedeur fits. Shedeur fits pretty good in Cleveland if you think about it.
Yeah.
He fits good. It's just Cleveland. That's all there is to it. I'm sorry, it's just Cleveland, but he does fit good with their offense. And Kevin Stefanski, he should be able to do something with that.
And I guess the Deshaun Watson's days in Cleveland will be numbered. I mean, he's not their future there. But Cleveland starting the season, who's going to be their starter opening day prediction between Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Shador, Dylan Gabriel. Who do you all predict is going to be
Probably
the opener?
I think Flacco would start.
I
I
think
think
Pickett.
Shador will be the backup.
Oh,
I
you
think
think
Pickett.
Pickett?
Yeah, I mean,
Interesting.
for opening day, they'll start with Pickett. He's the one person that has experience with playing with them the previous season, so they'll at least give him that starting. I don't know.
Flacco does too.
Pickett was with Philadelphia last year, so it's his first season.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah.
But Flacco the year before played with Cleveland, so I kind of agree with Priscilla that it's going to be Joe Flacco. You know, just
The
being
starting
the gatekeeper
QB.
for the time being.
That's
I
such a
think Joe
mess.
Flacco too. I think Joe Flacco.
Okay.
He had when he was with Cleveland, obviously he took them to the playoffs and they won. Did they win their first game or they lost? They lost. Yeah, they lost.
They won their first game. They lost the second game.
They lost in the first game.
They got because of Flacco, basically. The second game they lost.
Guys, harder question. Who's going to be Cleveland's starting quarterback by the end of the season? That's the hard one.
Yeah.
It depends how effective that Flacco is if he starts going on hypotheticals. I think that Shador will win the second spot. I do. Because he's gonna have to be behind Flacco anyway for veteran presence. And then, of course, Kenny Pickett they're going to probably put Gabriel on a practice squad.
But someone could claim him off, but he's a third-round draft pick. You put Gabriel on the practice squad, odds are another team's going to claim him. Even that happened with the Broncos last year. They wanted to put Zach Wilson on the practice squad, but they felt someone would claim him, and they just didn't want to move on from Zach Wilson at that point.
Well, I'm just going by, how I feel that training camp would go, and that's my opinion, obviously. But I feel if Shador is the quarterback that everybody makes him out to be, and I'm not saying he is, but I'm just saying if he can beat out every Pickett, come on. And Gabriel, I think that was a reach for Cleveland, to tell you the truth.
Right.
I think they were just doing a spiteful, I'm going to grab a quarterback, but it's not going to be Shador kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whatever that is. Poor guy. He is a good quarterback, but he ain't going to make that team. He ain't going to be on that team by the end of the year. I just don't think so.
Dylan gave a third-round draft pick. GMs and coaches look very bad if they have to cut a third-round pick after
Jack,
1
it's
year.
Cleveland. Cleveland always looks bad. Their GMs always make everything look bad because they don't know how to do anything right over there. So
I did want to kind of, we got about 9 minutes left. I did want to ask everybody about their specific teams drafts. I want to start with J-Train because I've already talked about mine when Keith was on. Strilla, I know you talked a little bit about yours. Jack, I'll get to you after I speak with J-Train here. J-Train, you guys are, according to this draft, B-. You guys took an offensive tackle, Kelvin Banks Jr. out of Texas for your first pick at number 9, which was a shocker. And then you followed up with a quarterback, the top of round 2 at pick number 40 in Tyler Show from Louisville. What were your thoughts on your drafts and just the needs that the Saints had going on, especially because you guys needed an offensive lineman and you, in fact, do still need a quarterback amid the Derek Carr fiasco?
Look, the Saints they had 9 draft picks and they used every single one. They haven't used every single draft pick since 2015. So without saying it, the Saints have they started a rebuild here. So you got a lot of contracts that are expensive on older players. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we got a new regime with Kellen Moore there, so he wants his team to start from ground up. And they said in the beginning when they hired Kellen Moore, we're going to do everything in our power and allow him time to build things back to where they've been, to prominence. And so with this draft, I really like they even said it in the beginning. We got to build through the ground up from the within the trenches. And so Kelvin Banks Jr. to me, and he's listed as probably 1 or 2 best tackles in this draft. And so I've watched film on him, man. He's dominant. That game against Georgia, he handled those guys like 1 to 2. I mean, they had put 2 guys on him, and he would knock both of them out. And so I love the fact that they're building the trenches. They got Taliese Fuanga last year, who's naturally a right tackle. He played left, And so this Kelvin Banks is a left tackle, so I think they're going to move Huanga back to right. Now you got a bookends for 10 years or so. And so I love it. And I like the linebacker Stutman out of Oklahoma. He's a guy's like 6'4", man, and he's a dog, man. And that might be the replacement for Demario Davis. So we got him in the fourth round, and then we got another corner. You know, these are all needs. These picks were all needs. They got a safety. They got a running back, and I think got a value pick in Devin Neal out of Kansas, who broke all the records for them with their rushing. He kind of reminds me of Alvin Kamara. So, and he has really good vision and contact balance. So, and they got him, I think, as a steal in the 6th round. And then they got this one kid out of Syracuse. Kind of reminds me of,
Fadi Diggs.
Yeah. Cornel Diggs. Yeah. That kid he's underrated for a 7th round draft pick. And I saw his numbers. I saw what he's done. That should be interesting for the defensive end. So I like this, and I like the draft. I give it about a B+. Now, I didn't mention the 2nd round draft pick, Tyler Shuck. Yes. I'm a little surprised. I was surprised at that pick. When I did some research, I saw the mechanics. Everything's there, but my man is 20. He's at the start of the season, he's gonna be 26 years old, and so that's the plus and minus. He'll be mature enough to come in and play the game, and had some, but he's only had one good season, and he's injury prone. He's had not soft tissue injuries, but he's had 3 breaks, 2 in the collarbone and 1 in the lower leg. And so that's kind of iffy and scary. So, but I guess they're trying to shore up the offensive line so that they can make sure they protect him. But he's probably going to go in as day 1 starter. But him and Spencer Rattler were duped out. But to pick him at the 2nd round, that's clearly Kellen Moore's guy. But all in all, I like the draft.
Okay, Jack, we'll talk with you. We'll round up the show with you. We've got about 7 minutes left. We'll talk.
Well, I think Armand Mambo was a good pick, 1st round,
let me start out. You guys passed over the draft's top tight ends to pick a promising but new lineman in Mimbo. But you guys did meet Taylor met the need for an athletic receiving threat in round 2. Thomas could be a steal that you guys got if overcoming his average long speed. So what were your thoughts? You guys got a B+ grade.
Well, Mason Taylor, I'm going to count on James to fill me in on him more from LSU. He's a lot more familiar with him than I am. The tight end. I mean, they blew it last year with Brock Bowers. Loveland and Warren went, early in the draft. So a lot of people thought linked the Jets to Tyler Warren. That didn't happen. But they did address the tight end position. Mason Taylor, you tell me, James, is that a high impact draft choice? 2nd round, obviously he's going to play. He's going to start, this year as well. How good is he?
He's very good. I would say he's 2nd tier. He got drafted where he was supposed to get drafted. He's not a 1st rounder. He's not in the same ilk as Loveland or Warren, but the guy, man, he did some great things for LSU and in that specific offense. And so you guys just got to utilize him properly. I mean, he lit off the charts at his pro day. So he's a good blocking receiver as well as a receiving tight end. So you can do a lot with him. I think he's going to be great. You just have to. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Arian.
You guys did not. I'm sorry, Jack. I wanted to plug in because I wanted you to make sure you touch on this. What's interesting is you guys did not pick a quarterback to compete with Justin Fields.
No, well, that part of the mentality is you don't want Justin Fields to feel diminished. That's what the teams do. The Jets don't know whether Justin Fields is their future quarterback or not. So the jury's still out. You draft Shedeur Sanders or whoever else there, unless you're taking a fly on someone in a later round, it's sending a message to Justin Fields. We're not sure about you. You don't want to waste a high draft pick that way. And same thing with Seattle. They drafted Jalen Milroe. but they're using him more as a football player than as a quarterback. He's going to be like in certain packages and so on. And it's but what was interesting, 3 of the Jets' first 4 picks, they went offense. And with Aaron Glenn and Pastrilla, is obviously extremely familiar with him. And I think of Glenn as a Jet player back in the day. But I thought they would go defense because, Aaron Glenn's specialty, early on. But 3 of the first 4 picks on the offensive side of the ball. So I was a little surprised by that.
Yeah, so
I think your defense is fine.
Yeah. Are you happy with you guys' overall draft picks, Jet?
Yeah, all in all, it was okay. I mean, I can't complain. There's nothing in particular that I'm going to, get all hype about.
Yeah. Well, congratulations to you guys for those draft picks. I'm pretty happy with who we got. Of course, I thought we'd get T-Mac off the rip. We got Etienne in the last parts of the rounds here. I mean, that's a big story as well for the Panthers. Strilla, I wanted to kind of follow up with you because I don't know if you gave us a full assessment of your thoughts on your team as we got about 3 minutes left. You happy with you guys?
Like I said, I didn't like the first pick, but like I said, everything is relative once you see things at the end. Like I said, Brad Holmes came out with his, after the first round of his presser for after the draft, and he said he would have liked to take a couple people. I don't think they were looking to move up or move down in any position in the first round. I think they just wanted to stay pat. So I understand where that came from, the defensive tackle. He said that was, basically he said that was like the fourth or fifth pick they had on the board. So, again, a lot of Lions fans will let you know every year we're sitting there looking like, why did he pick this guy? Then this guy turns out to be extraordinary. And then was like, oh, okay. And then we end up eating our words. And like I said, Brad Holmes is a very good draft person. Not so much on the defensive line, like I alluded to earlier, but he did well. We got a couple of offensive players that are looking to be fit right into that line sooner or later, because Glasgow is going to be he's already turned out to be a little bit slow. We got a center in Ragnow right now where he's still youth. He still has some youth, but he's got a lot of physical problems going on with his knees and stuff like that. So we drafted good for that position. We have to wait and see. Like I said, with Holmes, you have to wait and see. I think it was a meh draft for me, but that's usually what the Lions drafts are half the time anyway. Meh. So
yeah,
I give it a B minus, somewhere around there. B minus.
Yeah, and as we wrap up this last few seconds here, lots of undrafted free agents went drafted, as they said, as free agents last night. The Lions got Jackson Meeks, wide receiver, and offensive lineman Mason Miller. The Carolina Panthers took Jacoby George, wide receiver, and cornerback Mike Reed. Let me see here. The New York Jets did not. You guys took wide receiver Dalen Cambry. And the New Orleans Saints looks like you guys took nobody. So
hey, a real quick thing about Jackson Meeks. You know who he's a nephew of?
I don't.
Zadarius Smith.
Okay, so see, runs in his family. So we'll see how
that kind of correlates the fact that we didn't get a defensive end.
Yes.
So we might be trying to sign Zadarius Smith again.
Quick plug, Sonya. Isaiah Bond didn't get drafted out of Texas because of the off the field stuff. He got so, and no teams even picked him up yet either. So
wow, that's crazy considering that Mike Green did get picked up because of off-field stuff. It's just one of those things you just gotta know how you play. Yep, it depends on how you play. Your play has to supersede whatever's going on in your personal life. We say that all the time. Great show as always, guys. Thanks, Strilla, J Train, Jack. This has been the Sunday Morning Sports Show. This will replay at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you guys download the Roku app so you too can be in the know when we are live. We appreciate everybody for all the likes, love, shares, and comments. And we hope that you all have an amazing day.
You're watching National Streaming Sports. Over 20 podcasts, 70 shows, and a 3.5-star rating on Roku TV.